Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward, and this is Face to Face.
The snow is falling.
Our guest this week is country and folk singer-songwriter Don Amero. The Winnipeg-based musician has won numerous awards and received many nominations over the course of his 7 albums, including 3 Juno nominations. Don also has a deep connection to this time of year. Don's Amero Little Christmas live show has been described as somewhere between a Michael Bublé Christmas special and Tom Jackson's The Huron Carol. The variety show has continued to grow over the past 8 years. Don, thanks so much for being on the show. You're a guest who's been on our wish list for some time now, and since it is the season, why don't we start with Amero Little Christmas and how that all came to be?
Well, it started here in Winnipeg about, I want to say about 10 years ago, roughly. It started off at a little cafe. I can't even remember the name of the cafe now, but it's gone. But the show is still here, so we started off there, literally like my family and friends, 15, 20 of us in a little cafe. And it grew over the years to, we went to the Ellis Theatre, which then from there across the street to the West End Cultural Centre, which had lived there for about 6 years. And last year, Mr. Mark Chipman from the Winnipeg Jets came and he saw the show and he said, "Man, you should bring this to the Burt." And I said, I'd love to do that if you're willing to help. And Mark is such a good dude that he stepped up and helped me make the show happen at the Burton Cummings Theatre this year. What
do you make of that growth of the show and that it's gone from a small cafe to playing such a nice venue?
It really shows that grassroots growth is a real thing, and you make one fan at a time. And I've always said in this industry, it's more about just making friends and connecting with people. And if you can do that with your music and your stories, I think that's going to bring people along for the long journey. And that's always been my story, at least. I've never been. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Even the things that you think are an overnight success, it's not really the case. So.
For yourself, what is it about Christmas time that you obviously enjoy doing this show so much as well?
Yeah, so this question's come up a lot lately for me, and I think the thing for me is that I grew up in a home where, we, around the time, about 11 years old, it kind of fell apart. My parents split up, and it was kind of a bad, no divorce is really happy, but it was a really bad one in our home, and led to some bad relationships on some of their side, and so for me, Christmas was a time when my family got together and sort of found a way to just love each other and drop our guard. And there's something magical about that. And for me, the music, there's so much nostalgia that comes with that too. And yeah, for me, I just think it's the pleasantry of the season that I really love and want to share more with people. And the big reason why I do this show is because I really want to, if I can instill this sense of really absorbing what the season's really about unity and togetherness, and hopefully kind of pushing that beyond December 25th too. So.
Yeah, the holidays can be a stressful time for many. You're kind of touching on it. What are the things that you hope to bring to people with this show, this variety show during the holiday season?
Yeah, like I say, just giving people sort of a real sense of not losing perspective of what it's about. My kids love gifts. I can't imagine just saying it's really about love, kids, and having them believe that. But really, it's a matter of just trying to encourage people to just spend the moments we have together, because that's all we have, and that's been heavy on my heart every year this time of year, is just recognizing that all we've got is this moment. And it doesn't really matter what kind of gift you got. The best thing we can give to each other is just being present in the moment. So, yeah. You
have this song, a Christmas song, that's about your father played Santa, and the year that that didn't happen anymore.
Right.
That's a pretty autobiographical song for you.
Very much so. I always say the best I can offer people, or the most unique part of me that I can offer, is my own story. And so that one was definitely a heavy one. My dad passed in 2016, and I didn't realize it at the time. And as heavy as losing him was, it kind of got heavier as the year went on, because it was a season of firsts. It was first birthdays, first Christmas, first anniversaries, first things like that without my father. And so, especially as that first Christmas was coming about, it really hit me in a big way, realizing that all those memories that we made are in the past now. And my response oftentimes when I have an emotional response like that is to write a song about it. And I did, and I wrote that sort of in dedication to my father.
We have a colleague here who shall remain nameless, but went to your show at the Burt that you just recently had.
Nice.
Her and her family weren't in the Christmas mood, as she was saying at the time, but left the show very much in the Christmas mood, so much so that they went home and put up their tree and named it Don Amero. You know,
I've heard
is that the
this
type of
story,
stories that you hear from people?
You know, it's so cool to know that I can, if somebody's coming into the show, just, you know, for the sake of, well, oh, I know Don's a nice guy, he's going to put on a good show. But they can go into the season feeling a lot more hopeful and a lot more just joy and love. I mean, that's a beautiful thing and a beautiful gift that if I can bring that to the table and just remind people that that's what it's about, then I've done my job for sure. Yeah, it's beautiful. I think they sent me that picture, actually. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was a great story. I wanted to share it here with
Thanks,
everyone.
man. Yeah.
We're going to share more of this conversation. We've got to step aside for a quick break, and as we go to break, we'll hear that song, Don't Let Christmas Pass You By, that Don was talking about, that he wrote about his father. Stick around, there's more to come.
Gathered round the tree, Dad's dressed in red. He wasn't fooling me, that fake beard he had. I knew he wasn't Santa, but he sure could play the part. Well, he'd make us take our time, each gift we had, one by one, would drive me mad. As I look back now, those memories are gold. I wanna go back to those days, stop time, replay just one more night. I won't let Christmas pass me by. Many years have passed, we still gather round, and he's still Santa with a real beard. Grandchildren on his knees, he still can play the part. But these kids can be crazy, they always want to play. I swear he don't mind, he's in his favorite place. If home is where the heart is, his family is home. I wanna go back to those days, stop time, replay just one more night. I won't let Christmas pass me by. Oh, the call came in the spring, said he was gone. My heart sank, I put a brave face on. I knew this day was coming, but nothing could prepare. Last Christmas was the last one with my father there. I wanna go back to those days, stop time, replay just one more night. Oh, just one more day. Can we go back to those days? Can't stop, replay, or take the time. Don't let Christmas pass me by. No, let it pass you by.
Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is musician Don Amero. And Don, you've released 7 albums in 10 years, which is really impressive. But when did you first know in your heart that music was what you wanted to do?
You know, so I grew up in a home where both my parents played and sang. My dad's from Nova Scotia, so he brought that East Coast kitchen party thing to Winnipeg, and you know, every payday it'd be guitars would come out and his buddies would come over and it'd be kind of a kitchen party. And so I fell in love with live music right away as a young kid. But I remember being about 15 and I got into the arts and I realized that music moves people, you know, in an interesting way. And it was, I got up and I sang, and I did the audition for a play called Oklahoma in grade 9. And when I was done the audition, the teacher was kind of tearing up, and a couple of the girls in the front row, I was like, what happened? Like, I thought I tanked the thing, right? And I got the lead role of the play that year. And so I realized that's sort of the seed was planted, I think, that I could probably, there's a shot for me in this world of music. So that started things. And then when I was, in 2006, I did Canadian Idol. And up until then, I'd been dabbling for a good decade at that point in time, but I thought I was going to give this a shot, and made it, got the gold ticket, went to Toronto, ended up getting through 3 or 4 cuts there. Right before the final top 22, I got cut and sent home, and it just devastated me. And then I realized, but 2 months after that, like, I'm waiting for somebody else to, you know, take the reins of my life and my career. And I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it yourselfer kind of guy, and just took the reins and did it myself, and basically did that for a good long time. Yeah.
I want to rewind back to that time when you were, 14 or 15, and in your bio mentions that it coincided with a difficult time that you've kind of touched on personally for yourself. What role did music play in helping you lift out of that? Yeah,
I don't think I knew it at the time, but, all my friends in the neighborhood, I grew up here in the north end of Winnipeg, and, high poverty and a lot of brokenness in a lot of homes in that area that I lived in. They would get into, gangs, drugs, alcohol, violence, all that kind of thing. And I could see those as dead-end roads, and again, I was just blessed with that foresight. But music very quickly became my vice. It became the thing that I leaned on, and like I said to you earlier, like whenever I go through something emotional, my response is to write about it and write a song about it. And, I realized that became my therapy and my outlet. And I thank God for music, because if it wasn't for that, I know my life could have turned in a much more different way than it is now. So
yeah, music's one great vice to have, for
sure.
It's
beautiful. Yeah, it's led me here, so here we are.
And as you mentioned, it'd be almost well over a decade before you really took the jump, I guess, into full-on touring and all of it. What was that moment in your life where you said, this is going to be it?
Well, I kind of started pretty late. Like, I was 27 when I took the leap, and to kind of think that I had the audacity to believe that I could make it,
Yeah.
And I just was full of guts, and there's other phrases to use at that point in time. But I was working as a hardwood floor installer. I love sharing this story because my boss came in one day and he said, "Man, you look terrible." And I was like, "Well, this isn't really what I want to do." And he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I want to do music. Something I love doing and I'm passionate about." And he says, "Well, what the hell are you waiting for?" And I was like, "Yeah, what am I waiting for?" So I quit. I left the job and I loaded up my car. At that time, I had made my own little, scratch CD in my sister's attic, and went across the country, coast to coast, over 6 weeks. Made it -$0. But I came home with a huge smile on my face and realized, I have to do this. And so I've just kind of made a point of just sticking to that grind ever since. And, again, I've been so blessed with great relationships and friendships along the way that have, helped me take the reins in this whole thing overall. So it's been incredible.
That is a gutsy move to tell your boss, well, I don't want to be here. But a great boss to encourage you to go on. And, okay, you made $0 there, but was there a moment where things started clicking for you? And
yeah, I mean, I have probably through that 9.5 years, it was like white flag moments. I always say it's just kind of like, I give up, I can't do it anymore, I'm not going to make it. My wife was so supportive to me all the way through this whole thing, and still is today, that she worked 2 jobs to provide a life for us while I was figuring it out. Once our first boy was born, she left one of those jobs. And then once our daughter was born 4.5 years ago, she left the other job. Now we have our new little boy. He's Elliot, and he's 8 months. And so she's a full-time mom, working harder than anybody I know. But music's, probably, I'd say about 3 years ago, really sort of opened up in a way that, it's providing a life for us. Our bills are being paid, our kids are well fed, and it's a beautiful thing. And it's not just my work alone. It's a community of people that are supporting this, and the fans out there that are, have been getting behind me since I started in that little cafe many years ago. Yeah.
What did the awards, the Juno nominations, what did those mean for you, when you look back on all of that?
Definitely some pretty epic wins in there, though, along the way. My first award I ever won was with Vince Fontaine, Buffy Sainte-Marie, and myself in the category, and it was for Canadian Folk Music Awards Songwriter of the Year, and I won it. I couldn't believe, I was like, this is crazy, like against these two iconic, legendary, artists that I ended up walking away with the hardware. That was almost one of the biggest ones for me, for sure.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, what was the biggest after you beat Vince Fontaine and Buffy Sainte-Marie?
Do you want to know the biggest one? So it was APTN. It was the Aboriginal People's Choice Music Awards. And I had not been nominated about 17, maybe 18 times, and I was winless for all those awards. Mm-hmm. And finally I won, and the whole crowd, it was like this joke that, oh, Don Amero loses again. And when I won, I stood up on my chair, held my arms up in the air. There's this great picture of it out there somewhere, and it felt like the whole arena was just cheering for me, because it was like they had seen me lose so much. I was the underdog that everybody wanted to see win that night, and when I won, it was just like it was pandemonium in my heart and in the arena. It was pretty beautiful. Yeah.
Amazing. What advice do you have for those musicians out there of any age, who need to take that jump, that are hesitant to jump in with both?
I think I would say, not just music, but whatever it is you're going to do, is just know why you want to do it. And for me, my why, like I said, it was more about affecting the heart and helping people and providing music as medicine, and it wasn't about #1 songs. And if you want to go for that, mm-hmm. there's nothing wrong with that. The problem for me with that is if it's about an award, if it's about a #1 song, where do you go from there? Like I believe with my vision and with what I want to do, that will be forever a need, and there will always be people who have hurting hearts, and there will always hopefully be another song coming down the line that I can write that will help them through some things. And so I think it's really about understanding your grand why, your grand vision, and really take hold of that and make that a part of why you do this. Because when those days get hard, when you want to wave those white flags, I think that vision is what's going to hold you true and help you stay the course.
Well, Don, we're going to continue the conversation here. We do have to step aside for one more quick break, and as we do, here's another performance from Don, one of his Christmas originals, this Christmas.
The excitement's everywhere, keep the magic in the air. And take the time to love and spread Christmas cheer all through the year. Merry Christmas, everyone. May your hearts be filled with love. And the excitement's everywhere. Keep the magic in the air. Oh, oh, oh. And take the time to love. Don't let it up. Spread Christmas cheer all through the year.
Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is award-winning musician Don Amero. And Don, APTN recently conducted a national Indigenous music impact study that found that Indigenous music is booming out there. Has that been something that, have you noticed a shift over the years in it?
Incredibly, actually. I think the representation of Indigenous music in Canada has been on this steady rise, and like people like Iskway and like you said, Jeremy Dutcher, and the classics like Buffy Sainte-Marie is still as relevant as ever. And the list actually is huge, and the fact that so many of us are out there and pounding the William Prince is another one. Pounding the pavement with our stories and our songs and making our people proud. I think that's such an incredible testament to how far we've come. I think there's obviously a lot more to do and can be done, but I feel like what a great time to be alive and to be doing this in this industry of music. There's some really great things happening for sure.
The report mentions it, and you just referenced it too. Still more to do. What are some of the things that could help improve some of these numbers even?
Well, I mean, I guess there's corporate responsibility and there's individual responsibility. And for me, I'm sort of on this crusade, I guess, to help individuals recognize that really it's about really just building relationship, and not considering how can I help, because help to me connotates I'm going to come in, I'm going to give you something, I'm going to give you a hand up, and then I'm going to walk away. Whereas relationship means let's just walk together. We don't have to have answers, but we're just going to walk through this life together, and I'm going to get to know you, you're going to get to know me. There's no judgment. It's just about building relationship. And I think if people did that more intentionally, and it's going to be hard because, some people may not want to have a relationship with you, and I think that it's about having the guts to kind of just put yourself out there and say, I'm just here to love and hopefully be part of changing the fabric of the future of what we are as a country.
Great message there.
Yeah.
Don, you've wrapped up Amero Little Christmas. The album's been reissued. It's out there on all platforms right now. What's next? What can fans of Don Amero expect is next?
So I'm going into a bit of a hibernation phase for, not very long, but there's a new single coming out early in the new year called Morning Coffee. Okay. And then not long after that, we'll have the music video out for that, and that's coming out early February. And then my spring, early summer, not really sure yet what's happening there. I'm never a guy that rests idle too long, so I'll definitely be keeping busy. In summertime will be festivals. You'll see me all over the place doing that. And then right now it's looking like a very likely possibility that I'll be in Australia mid-August to mid-September. And then, crazy enough, that rolls right back into the Christmas season for me. I started listening and kind of putting the show together back in September, which I could actually, is even a little bit late kind of getting the Christmas thing on the go. And I'm hoping actually for 2020 to see this kind of extend beyond Manitoba and be a bit of a tour in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Don, we appreciate you fulfilling one of our wishes and appearing on the show, and real pleasure to have you on.
Hey.
It was too.
Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
That is all the time we do have for this week's show, and actually for all of 2019. Face to Face will return with all new episodes starting in the new year. And a reminder, this show and past episodes are all available as podcasts. You can find those at aptn.ca/face-to-face-podcast. We leave you tonight with one final performance from our guest, Don Amero. From all of us here at the show, have a great holiday season. I'm Dennis Ward. We'll see you in the new year.
Son of God, love.